With me now is political analyst Duane Bratt. Duane, welcome. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome, Renee.
So this was the first of a number of town halls. What was discussed last night?
So there was less about the Alberta Next and the 6 areas that the government wanted to talk about. They tried to keep going back to those, but the room was packed with separatists. And I think that was by design. I have seen some of the speakers, at previous Alberta Prosperity Project, which is a separatist movement in Alberta, rallies, at other pro-separatist events, and they all seemed to end up in Red Deer. Meanwhile, the people who were opposed to the project, the Alberta Next panel, they were protesting outside. So I don't know if this is a representative sample, but you clearly got the idea that instead of talking about equalization and a police force and collecting taxes and changing the Constitution, that what Alberta needs to do is vote to separate first and then go back to the negotiating table. That was the sentiment that seemed to flow out.
When there were grievances and discussions brought up, were there any standout moments?
There were a couple. There were people who were able to get in who had other grievances. One wanted the nationalization of the oil sector and to get away from billionaires, and he got booed down. Others that were upset about climate change and why are we viewing carbon dioxide as a poison when it's a good thing. So it was the overall tenor, but they set it up with the videos that are on the website, and those videos are very slanted. So, for example, focusing on how Quebec collects its own taxes, but implies that it also collects federal taxes and it can deduct money to Ottawa if it so desires. None of that is true. We've looked at tax collection before. It would require more paperwork. It would be more expensive. Same thing with pensions and police forces. Those have been tested in multiple panels over multiple years. They've always been unpopular amongst general Albertans, but they were very popular in this room. And I should also really emphasize how different it is to have the premier of the province chairing a panel. You don't normally see that. The Alberta Next panel, for example, was chaired by Preston Manning. We've had lots of panels that do town halls, but the premier is there, and that changes the tenor. So, for example, when the show was over, there was a long lineup of people wanting to take their picture with the premier that wouldn't normally happen with just an ordinary chair.
Right. That is our time, Duane. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being here with us. That is Duane Bratt, a political analyst.